fixed, and I'm going to just go live right now and just wait for the rest of the DSA family to join in. So a lot of things happened. A lot of technology failed, and it got fixed. So I'm very, very happy about that. Man, technology is very frustrating sometimes, and so it can be a pain in my ass. But we are here, so let's get it, man. Let's talk about what we just witnessed in the preseason with the Lions and kind of see how it graded out. And as soon as the rest of DSA members start showing up, I'll have them interject. But as I go right now, obviously the first initial thoughts that I seen was obviously the injury, and that's going to start with Jarrad Davis. Now, when he went down, it was scary. It was definitely scary, and he was unable to put any weight on it when he got taken off. But per reports, it was an ankle and not his Achilles tendon, and so they brought him back there, and they're going to do an MRI on his foot tomorrow, his ankle tomorrow, and then we'll get more in an in-depth analysis when it comes to Jarrad Davis and how long he's going to be injured for. Now, hopefully, we all pray that, again, it's not too serious and he doesn't miss a lot of time. We don't need anything that's going to affect his play for a long period of time. That would be sorely missed on our defense. He is a vital and important part of this defense that's really going to take us to the next level if he's on there. Thankfully, though, due to Bob Quinn and due to his ability to place depth on this team, we are good to go when it comes to having players that can help ease the pain. We have a Jalen Reeves-Maben back there. We have the ability to vie to play different roles because he's picking up the defense so much. So thankfully we have folks like this, and obviously you can't forget Killebrew, who's been playing in that linebacker position. So these people need to step up, and I believe they will really help ease the pain until Mr. Jarrad Davis gets back, and it really will help the defense out in that sense. And thankfully, again, we have a lot of players that can help ease the pain. Now, we will get more information on Jarrad Davis, obviously, in the coming days. He's getting the MRI done tomorrow, and all we can do is knock on wood, and that's really about it. Now, next injury that Mr. Dr. Dirtz instantly decided to say here is again, it's Frank Ragnow, the center of the Detroit Lions, the best offensive lineman on the team. Now, he went down with an apparent ankle injury. Per reports right now, it's looking like it's just a slight ankle sprain, nothing too serious. And that is great news as of right now. That's absolutely great. What up, though, Joshua Zook? Again, so if it's just an ankle sprain and a slight ankle sprain at that, he's got 3 weeks to recover, and he should be definitely post-game without me. I'm so sorry, Joshua Zook. We had a lot of technology issues, and the program that I used went down. Then I went to my OBS, and when I turned off my OBS, I said, I'll give the program one more try, and it actually worked. So I sent out the link to the rest of DSA members, so hopefully they can join in and see that I'm live. I sent the link to them, so if they come in, great. If not, I will just handle this one by myself. But when it comes to Frank Ragnow, again, it looks like it's to be a slight injury, nothing serious, nothing long-term, and he should be good to go week 1, and that's great news. He's our best center, and without him, our offensive line would be in peril, in my opinion. Again, I think the depth on the team is fantastic, but when it comes to the offensive line, I think it's a little weaker. And since his injury happened, it'd really throw in a wrench. But however, it looks like it's slight. And now let's go ahead and just jump into the offensive line for what we've seen in preseason. And the offensive line this game, the first string specifically, really looked good. It looked really improved from what it was last couple of games. It looked improved from last season. And we're talking about a Buffalo Bills defense That was top 5 last year. They are definitely no scrub when it comes to what they bring to the table. And so our offensive line held well, absolutely kept Stafford upright. Matter of fact, basically kept all the quarterbacks when it comes to the second, third strings upright, besides Fails holding on to the ball when it comes to a fail sack, because that wasn't on the offensive line. That was him. But when it comes to first string, it really, Matthew Stafford had all time in the world to go ahead and sling that ball. And that's great news for us, folks. That's great news that this offensive line held up, specifically the left guard position when it comes to Joe Dahl. Joe Dahl is our starter now at left guard. He is holding that spot down. Decker impressed me as well. There's a little bit of question marks when it comes to Taylor Decker, and he showed tonight that he did well against a really quality pass rush, and that's good. Obviously, when it comes to Joe Dahl, he did great. Frank Ragnow got injured. He should be good to go week 1. And yes, we're definitely going to talk about TJ. And the whole offensive line did great. And they opened up the holes as well for the running game. And our backs had a great day because they understand that these holes are going to be opened up, unlike prior years where the offensive line took real issues and had real problems before putting up holes. And since it's just me, I'm gonna just go ahead and throw my camera on there. And again, I was impressed with the offensive line as a whole, and I'm super exciting to see that, because now we can run the football, folks. Now Matthew Stafford has a running game. Matthew Stafford now has an offensive line that's pretty good. That's decent, and that's all he needs. With a running game, Matthew Stafford is going to sling that ball. And what did we see today when it comes to the offensive players on the field? TJ Hawkinson exploded. TJ Hawkinson is going to be a phenomenal tight end, in my opinion. TJ Hawkinson is a playmaker, a dynamic playmaker for us, and he is going to really change the dynamic when it comes to this offense. That's good to see as well, Terry. Thank you for joining the chat. And so when it comes to TJ Hawkinson, it's going to open up the running game like we've seen. It's going to open up the passing game when it comes to wide receivers. And this offense is going to explode. This offense is going to take off. And finally, we have a legitimate offense. When it comes to the Detroit Lions, KFC has really held this offense back, and it was subpar to say best. And now we have Darrell Bevell, who has weapons, and he's going to utilize them. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the play calling itself. Now, with the dress rehearsal, we got to understand that Darrell Bevell is not going to go ahead and open up his playbook completely. However, they do open it up a little bit when it comes to the third preseason game, and we've seen that. What was really awesome about the play calling is I had no idea if they were going to throw it, if they were going to run it. I had no idea. I don't know how many times last year and years prior when it was KFC, we knew exactly what they were going to do. It was run, pass, punt. And yes, definitely, Zach Cook, you're 110%. Yes, and we're definitely going to get to the penalties here in a minute. Right now, I'm just kind of do the observation of the play calling. And I thought the play calling was well. It was diverse. It mixed up. And it wasn't showing too much because we don't want to see everything in the preseason. We just want to see a glimpse of what it can be. And Darrell Bevell did well. He really mixed it up. He utilized Ty Johnson. How many times have we seen our offensive coordinator utilize players, even if they're young, to the best of their ability? We've seen Ty Johnson catch that pass, score a touchdown for Matthew Stafford, and he's got weapons. Darrell Bevell's got weapons, and he's going to utilize that. Now let's jump to the defense, and we'll talk about the defensive line. And again, the defensive line, we finally got to see the starters. Not all of them, but we got Mike Daniel, Snacks Harrison in there. I didn't see Flowers if he was in there. It was minimal. I personally didn't see him, but that defensive line was stopping the run like no other. I mean, the Bills had no way to run the ball. When that starting defensive line was in there, they couldn't run for the life of them, and that is great to see, continuing that trend. Now, the linebackers, Tavai was all over the field again, making tackles. Jalen Reeves-Maben, it did well again. Obviously, we know Jared Davis went down with the injury. And again, we're just waiting on the information when it comes to Jared Davis. How is this going to play out? We don't know right now. It is what it is. We'll see how it goes from there. And again, I feel like what we've seen on the field with the players that was available is they did a really good job. And what happens when you have a really good defensive line, folks? You get turnovers. And what did we see? We seen the secondary feasting. We should have had 2 turnovers. One got called back due to a penalty, a false penalty on the quarterback that didn't occur. And it should have been 2 turnovers on defense in the first half of the game. Man, those secondary is going to feast this year. We're going to get a lot of turnovers, and we all know what happens when you get turnovers. When you win the turnover battle, what occurs? You win football games, and that is what is going to be taking place. And I'm super excited to see that in the regular season. I'm excited to see Diggs, Slay. I'm excited to see Walker. I'm excited to see all these guys get their hand on the football and get those turnovers. So I was very impressed with that. Also, when it comes to the special teams, again, starters did look great, Sean, absolutely. And we can't, again, the special teams got a turnover as well. They're hitting hard. They're playing to the ball. You can't ask for more than that. Again, we had a absolutely lackluster turnover last year. In years prior, we didn't get a whole lot. But this year, you can see last game, too, we got 2 turnovers. We should have had 3 today. It was officially called 2, but I will call it 3. And that's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for. And Jamal Agnew, he took it from the 1-yard line and took it to the 49. He's going to be a stud for us. And obviously, goal. Kudos to Matt Prater for doing such a fantastic job. Still got the boot like no other. And I'm very impressed with him. Now, let's go ahead and jump to what I was not impressed with. And obviously, that's the flags. The flags were all over the place. Now, I think this is a symptom of some bad players making mistakes, but I think a lot of it, again, was the referees as well, because the Bills had a lot of flags as well, and it was a dirty game. It was dirty all around, and a lot of those flags, man, they were just mind-boggling terrible, but there was false starts I seen. I did see a holding and a pass interference. They need to clean that stuff up in the regular season. You need to clean it up. Flags are a drive killer, and we should have had another touchdown, but it negated due to a offensive line flag, a holding that put us back 10 yards. And to win football games, to be a team that it's going to take it to the next level, we have to slow down these flags and knock it off. Having 12 men in a huddle is unacceptable, and that needs to be cleaned up as well. Coach needs to clean it up. Patricia needs to clean it up and get these guys squared away top to bottom. And again, being aware of what's taking place is important with that. And that was a little bit of coaching down when you have 12 people on the field, and so that stuff needs to get cleaned up. Are the Bills Detroit's new rival? They were ready to scrap. It seems like that. It definitely seems like that. Look, we play the Bills a lot, it seems like, and every time we play them, for whatever reason, I said this a couple months ago, it's always a weird game. It always comes down to the wire, and it's scrappy. And we seem to get the end of the shtick of it. Refs missed quite a few things too. Yeah, man, absolutely, on both sides. And you're 100% right, Sean. And I'm not just going to say Detroit Lions. Again, I think it was both sides of the ball. The refs really screwed the pooch. I mean, it was bad refereeing, and these guys should definitely not be in the regular season. If this is how they're going to referee in the preseason, they're literally going to destroy the NFL. The referees is the problem with the NFL. I think we all know this. We know that the quality of the NFL is elite quality. You have to have elite personnel around. And if you're going to make $1 billion business, you need to have the best referees on planet Earth. And right now they have scrubs in there that it just makes the game bad. You know, when you're throwing stupid calls and you're doing these moronic stuff, it just doesn't help the game. There was some drop passes, Dr. Dirks, and Amendola dropped a pass that he should have caught, but he also caught a good one. Duhart, I believe it was Duhart who. Okay, the big take is in. All right. What is going on, Big Take? Welcome, and I'm going to go ahead and throw my picture off. What's going on, man?
What up, Micro Mike? What's going on?
Hey, man, we got the program back up, and I'm happy you could make it. You know how technology is. It fails when you need it to not fail.
Oh, yeah, man. Gotta love technology. Never know.
Absolutely, folks. The Big Take, he is part of the Detroit Sports Alliance. If you've not subscribed to the Big Take, please do so. He brings some fantastic content. He does a lot of NBA, and to me, it's insane. He drops a lot of videos every day. He's a valued member of the DSA, and he's going to take us to that next level in what we need to be. Now, Big Take, what did you take on what you saw in preseason?
I didn't like the fact that Jared Davis went down early. That scared me a little bit. But the next guy's gonna have to step up. That's football. Injuries happen all the time. Stafford looked a little rusty out there at times, but he hasn't been out there, so I'm not too worried about that. But overall, I was pretty happy with the way we played. I mean, we're seeing progress with the Lions every week, and that's really what you want to see out there during preseason.
Absolutely. And you make a fantastic point about the progress. When we started for the first preseason game, it was a dumpster fire. Then you seen on the second preseason game, it started to get a little better, and that offensive line did much better. And when you look at this game, man, that offensive line dominated. Stafford, he started a little slow in the first two drives, but he really picked it up after that. And just started killing it, and putting that ball where it needed to be, and really take it to the level we need them to take it to. What is one player you saw during the game where you thought, wow, this game really stood out to you? This player really stood out to you with this game. Is there any player that you looked at and you said he had a great game?
I really liked how Josh Johnson looked at the end of that game. He looked a lot more comfortable in our offense, so I was pretty happy to see him look good out there and make some good passes.
And you make a fantastic point, man. Josh Johnson, 2 weeks into the system, and he's already better than Fales. I mean, he looked poised out there. He looked poised out there. I seen him commanding his wide receivers, telling them and to get into spots. The guy has just been with this team for 2 weeks, and he's already telling wide receivers where to go. To me, that was extraordinary for just 2 weeks in a system to telling folks where to go. I thought that was very good of him.
Absolutely.
I think the progress he showed, to me, I think he has the ability to be our backup. I think they really should consider it because, look, he was throwing the ball hard. He was poised out there. He didn't look like he was jittered. The ball was coming out quick. It was coming out quick and dimes.
Right. Well, and he's a guy that's, again, he's been around the league. He's been in different leagues. He's just got a lot of experience. So.
Absolutely, and one of the best plays I've seen from him, and it was an absolute veteran move, and that's when he seen that the defensive lineman jumped the line, and he knew right then and there, I got to throw the ball downfield, whether it gets caught or a pass interference. I'm going to throw it and see what happens, and what happens? It was a pass interference.
Oh yeah, that was a heads up play. He's just a veteran player. He's got a smart head, and he's going to be great to have around, on the bench and things like that.
Absolutely. And look, when you have a quarterback, when you have a backup, you want a commander back there. You want a guy who is going to command the troops. That's a leader. I was in the Army, and it's all about getting your soldiers in line and having them do what you want. And when I seen out there commanding people after 2 weeks, I said, yep, he's got what it takes. He's already beat Fales out, and now it's between him and Savage.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just honestly so hard to watch David Fales sometimes. I mean, our offensive line was giving him time to throw the ball, and he just couldn't really do it.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't look poised. He's just not a NFL quality quarterback, and we've seen that from him. Another player I was absolutely impressed with, and I'm sure you are as well, was TJ Hawkinson. Boy, he had himself a game.
Absolutely, man. He looked great out there, and that's really assuring to see.
Absolutely. Like JMO and I, we seen him in person, and he's always open. Now the fans got to see that this guy is always open, and if a ball comes his way, he catches it. Now he did make one drop, but it was a bad pass. I can't really blame him when the ball is going at his ankles. It's very tough to do.
Right. I mean, I think he's going to be a big part of this team. I even at times like him more than Jesse James, to be honest.
Yeah, well, look, TJ Hawkinson, in my opinion, I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl talent year one. This guy is a difference maker. And what makes him so good on the field of offense is, again, he's known for road grading as well as pass catching. So the defense may not know what type of play is it. Is he going to be out there catching the football, or is he going to be a road grader opening up a hole? That's what makes him so different from other tight ends, is he has that ability. And it's so awesome to see that this is a weapon that now Matthew Stafford can utilize, and it's going to help out the whole offense as a whole.
Yeah, and one of the also huge things for me was just to see our offensive line finally go out there and do good. I mean, I was getting to the point where I was getting honestly real sick of our offensive line. I mean, just every year it never lives up to the expectations, and it looked really good tonight.
Absolutely, man. Again, the offensive line was the biggest question mark going into this season. I mean, we've been talking about it all off season about this offensive line, man. It needs to hold out. We need to get that left guard position solidified. And it has, and we do got a Joe Dahl in there, and he's looking good, man. He's road grading. He has really picked it up this offseason. Kudos to Joe Dahl for bulking up and going from a pudgy guy to a built like a brick guy who is going to keep Matthew Stafford upright. And again, the Bills' defense is no slouch. They were a top 5 defense last year, and what I saw was very good. It was a very good impression to what we got going on to week 1.
Absolutely, man. I'm really excited for week 1.
Now, Dr. Dirk says, do you have any concerns? I do. I do have a couple of concerns. Again, with the flags, I think the flags is a killer. I think the Detroit Lions' worst enemy is the Detroit Lions in the NFC North. They have to clean up these penalties. Penalties are a killer. They're a drive killer. And we could have had another touchdown if it wasn't for the holding on the offensive line.
Absolutely. For me, it's penalties. It just kills the whole momentum of the drive. And the other thing, we didn't necessarily do horrible, but I am a little worried about our secondary still at times. We do like to give up some big plays.
I think really that I'm not too concerned about the secondary. I think the defensive line is so talented that they're going to, as we've seen with the 2 turnovers today on defense, well, it should have been 2. It was 1 officially and 1 not officially. I totally believe that defensive line is going to get it, and we're going to get more turnovers this year, probably double compared to what last year was. It was ridiculous. I mean, we trade in a Lawson for a Coleman. Much of an upgrade. And again, I think another thing I didn't like, obviously, is injuries, man. I don't want to see this. And that's the number one concern at this point. And again, I think everyone's got their fingers crossed and hoping that Davis is okay. It definitely looks like Frank's okay, but we shall see. For sure. But I think that Jalen Reeves-Maybin has the ability to really help out if Davis is out for a couple of games. I think Jalen Reeves-Maybin could really soften the wear on that.
Yeah, we just got to pray Jared Davis can bounce back and recover quickly because he's really the anchor of that linebacker core.
Oh, absolutely. And Terry Starr makes a great point. He says Graham Glasgow needs to work on his hand plays. Man, he does, man. I think Glasgow, he'll do fine this year, but when it comes to the offensive line, that right side's somewhat of a concern because, look, you got Glasgow. I think he'll do okay, but then you got Wagner there. I think that's a little bit of a worry. But again, when it comes to our offensive line last year was so bad. I mean, you're talking mid-20s. So if we can have an offensive line that's ranked 15, that's a giant upgrade, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets sad. It gets to the point where the refs throw a flag, and us Lion fans already know it's going to be a holding penalty every time.
Every single time, yeah, every single time. And flags also on special teams, driving me crazy, man. So they got to clean this up. Those are my big issues. And again, it's Fails that is not an NFL quarterback, and he will no longer be on the team. Now we're gonna have a lot of cuts probably come tomorrow in the next couple of days, and I don't think anyone surprising is going to get cut just yet. I think a lot of the people we already know is going to get cut. The no names, I think they're going to be gone here very soon. But is there going to be a cut that you think when we get down to a 53-man roster from what you've seen through preseason, who's an individual that could be a surprise cut or a cut that you don't want to happen that may?
Durham for sure. I don't want him to get cut, but I think it may happen.
Oh man, that would be crazy. I think he makes the team. The one individual I think is going to get cut, and I think because we haven't seen him yet, and what it's terrible because this guy has had a really good training camp. I think Tease Tabor is going to get cut, and I think Mike Ford's going to take his spot.
Yeah, that was mine. That was probably my second guy, to be honest. He just really hasn't found his place in the league.
Yeah, absolutely, and Terry agrees with you. He says Travis Fulgham is getting cut. He could, man, and if he does, they're taking a risk to put him on the practice squad. So we shall see for sure. I have high hopes for Fulgham. I know. J-Mo's, that's one of his favorite guys, and he's got high hopes for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he did, man. He made mistakes today, and it does hurt, man. It's not helping his cause when you're dropping some footballs. It's just not going to work that way. We can't have wide receivers who makes drops. That's called Eric Ebrons, and we're done with Ebrons.
Yeah, and look at Ebron now.
When it comes to the running back getting cut, I'm afraid that I know Thompson's going to get cut just because they're not going to keep 5 running backs. And Thompson did really, really well. He's such a big back, and it sucks. Yeah, Fulcrum's fumble. Yeah, the fumble that he got to, that doesn't help. But I think it will come down to Thompson and Zach Zenner. I just think they're going to go with Zach Zenner just because he's been with us the whole time for a couple of years now.
Right, yeah, I think they're going to go with Zenner too, as much as I hate to say it.
I mean, Thompson really showed himself.
He looked great tonight.
Absolutely, he did. Absolutely. He looked great, and man, we really have a good roster, and the running back position is very well when it comes to his depth. I think Brandon Powell automatically makes the roster. So again, I think it's going to come down. I think Fulgham makes the team. I do think he makes the team. What about Bodden? Antoine Uhai, I was just about to talk about him. I think he makes the team. We seen on the field first and second string. Bodden was in a lot of that plays. They used the fullback a lot in the formations this game and last preseason game, and I don't think that's a coincidence. He was in there a lot.
Absolutely, he's going to be on the team.
That guy, it seemed like he was on the field every single play. They were using Bodden a lot. I definitely think he's making the team just from what I've seen. I mean, he literally was out there. He's got to be one of the most snaps of a player I've seen out there. I'm going to have to check that out tomorrow when I look at who was on the field the most. But he was out there a lot, and to me it shows that they believe in him and they believe that he's going to be the leader to help these running backs get open.
Absolutely, and he was blocking very well out there.
Yeah, he was too, man. He
was getting into linebackers.
Hitting the linebacker and open up the hole for the running back. Antoine says, I felt bad for him last year. Absolutely, man. For him to get, he was a 7th round pick, tears his ligament right at the beginning of preseason or right beginning of camp, I think, and didn't even have a chance to play. So it's basically like he's a rookie now.
Right.
Joshua Zook says, think they choose Fails over Josh Johnson. No way. Josh Johnson is by far better.
Absolutely.
Josh
Josh Johnson
Johnson,
just needs a little more time to get used to our system, get used to our scheme, and he'll be miles ahead of David Fales.
he's miles ahead of him right now. We're talking
Yeah.
about his arm strength's much better. His identity of where the player is going to be is better.
Mm-hmm.
His speed of the ball being thrown, he throws a much faster
Yeah.
football, and he's
And
decisive far more.
and the thing with Fales is you can't even get a look at those second and third string, fourth string wide receivers or those tight ends because he can't even make a throw. He can't even complete a pass. Like it's ridiculous. We need a guy out there that can throw the ball and make passes so we can get a look at some of these guys that are going to be trying to make the roster.
Absolutely, 100%. And Joshua Zook says, I hope they dump Fales. They will. I think they'll hold him till the fourth preseason game and dump
Yeah.
him right after that. The fourth preseason game, no starter is going to play.
Yep.
They're already thinking about Arizona. And so they're going to put some of these guys that are guaranteed to not make the team out there just to get the game over with. They're not going to risk any player like Josh Johnson. And he may become our backup, folks. I think it's possible right now that Josh Johnson could beat out Savage because Savage, look, I think this is his fifth concussion, and Josh Johnson looked poised out there. He looked poised. He
Mm-hmm.
commanded those. I was mind blown by his command of the receivers of where to go. How does he
Right.
know? How does he know that by now? 2 weeks being in the system.
And really, if it wasn't for that fumble, you could argue that he would have led us to a game-winning drive down the field, touchdown.
Oh, absolutely. He was marching down, and again, Fulgrim fumbled that ball, and that kind of destroyed that game. But I didn't care about the score. It'd be cool. But at that point, I seen what I seen, and I was very pleased overall with this preseason game. This dress rehearsal was much better than last year's dress rehearsal, and I have a lot of confidence going into week one. And I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna do my 53-man roster video this weekend. What up, Dose Soggy Milk, Davis and Ragno? Yeah, we'll see. But I think that going into week one, the Lions are going to steamroll the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh yeah, dude, our defensive line is gonna have a field day with Arizona's offensive line.
I don't think the NFL knows what's coming their way, and I don't think the Arizona Cardinals going our way. They're going to get steamrolled.
Yeah.
O-line is the biggest. Ron Roy, our O-line has looked great today. All around.
Yeah.
It looked great. It looked really good. Ragnow went down with the injury, but it looking like it's just a sprained ankle, nothing serious. And the offensive line, again, opening up the holes, protecting Stafford. And that, again, there's two other factors that go into that I haven't addressed. And that's TJ Hawkinson's a really good blocker, as well as the scheme of Darrell Bevel, I think, is helping out the offensive line as well.
Absolutely, man. I mean, Joe Dahl, I can't believe it because I didn't expect this guy to come out of anywhere, but Joe Dahl is a beast, man, and he really looks great in that left guard position.
He does, man. He does. He took the offseason seriously. He bulked up, and it's showing. It's showing the hard work that he did to make this team. It's showing, and now he's going to be our starter. Sean says the Cardinals' O-line is trash. It absolutely is trash, and they're going to get destroyed.
I feel bad for Kyler Murray, man. That's all I got to say.
Dr. Dirks doesn't make a point. The O-line still has to prove itself. It does. It absolutely does. It's got to prove itself the whole year. Absolutely. But I tell you what, I'm in a better position about the offensive line now than I was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I was nervous. It was dire.
Kenny Wiggins was looking terrible.
Yep. It was looking pretty rough, and I feel so much better about it right now. And I can rest easy knowing that Stafford's not going to get no sack, no 10 times a game. Yeah. And the idea of him getting injured is going to be lessened, and that makes me smile.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried how long they had Stafford out there, but thankfully he was okay.
Roy says, I'd run Thompson against the starters next week. So he's definitely going to be used, folks. They're going to use a lot of these guys that are probably not making the team. And unfortunately, I think Thompson's
Yeah.
not going to, just because of the depth. It has nothing to do with his talent. But
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going to put guys that are not going to see the field next week. It's a preseason game that means absolutely nothing. So take
Oh,
nothing from next week away. A lot of those guys will never see the field again.
yeah. 2 weeks from now, those guys will be working down at UPS.
That's 100% fact. Did James play? What player are you talking about? James.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I don't
Agree.
know.
I feel much better about preseason one. A lot better all around. Yeah, I do. I mean, look, they got better each game and got better and better. You can never judge a preseason guy by a win or loss. Who cares about that we
No.
lost this? That means absolutely nothing to me. If you look at our first string, we dominated. If it wasn't for the referees, the score would have been far more. You got to think of that pick that had it was at their end zone. It would have been ridiculously. We would have won them out in a regular season game, no doubt.
Yeah, and what matters is our first stringers outplayed theirs. So
Yes, that's all that matters. And again, injuries as well. And so hopefully, Josh Allen was hot garbage. You know what? I think he's the quarterback in the NFL that has the most snaps in the preseason.
yeah,
So they need to be worried about that because he did not look good at all. You're 100% right.
He was really inaccurate.
Yeah, he was. With that said, folks, man, I've been on for 4 hours right now. I wanted to do just a quick post-game show, and I'm glad the Big Take got to come on here for a minute and just give you my take really quick. And I got to get some sleep, man, because I've been doing this since 7:30, and it is 12:30 right now. With that said, folks, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Big Take, you got anything to say to the folks?
Yeah, appreciate everyone in the chat coming out, having a good time with me and Micro Mike. And I hope you all have a good night.
Awesome. Adios.